Hey everyone, welcome to the Catholic Entrepreneur Podcast. I am your host, Mitch Fisher, and today I'm joined by Scott Williams, one of the co-founders of Religious. So, really excited. As you know, on this podcast, we chat a lot about Catholic entrepreneurship, creatives. We talk about marketing, we talk about social media, we talk about all kinds of different things, and just business advice in general for Catholic entrepreneurs and those Catholics out there that are doing creative, fun things. So, Scott, I'm super excited to have you on. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mitch. This is a joy. So, so my name is Scott Williams. My wife Elizabeth and I founded Religious in 2017, right before the National Catholic Youth Conference, and I worked full time in Catholic youth ministry for about 10 years before that, and so we started the company. We thought it'd be like a fun side project. I would always wear like donut socks on National Donut Day, or I'd like try to just do something fun with my socks. That was kind of my jam. And we started making Catholic socks. We thought, well, what if we celebrated the Feast of the Archangels with St. Michael socks or something like that? So that was kind of the genesis of it. And we sold a whole lot of socks that first conference, and then have really built a business off of this niche audience. And helped people like really be able to deliver joy in their everyday life by celebrating the lives of the saints.
Definitely. No, very cool. I myself, I probably have like 8 or 9 pairs. It's like my mom's go-to like stocking stuffer for us ever since you guys started. So St. Joseph's probably my favorite one. I know you guys are always having new ones. So I think that's really cool. What was something that you did?
Is like the all-time bestseller one. It's one of my favorites.
Is it really? Okay,
Yeah,
very cool. Yeah, awesome. Good. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm guessing she'll get us some this year as well. It's always like she started with like our patron saints, and then every year just like, hey, which ones do you guys want? So I have like I said, I like probably 8 or 9 pairs now. And I love them. Like they're like my go-to like for every occasion because they're a good conversation starter. Like when you're dressed up, which is awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, how did you guys like? Obviously, the idea, you kind of already loved, funky socks. Like, did you already start businesses in the past that were you entrepreneurial? Would you have considered yourself entrepreneurial? Like, how did that kind of come to be? It was like, let's start a company.
Yeah. So I, looking back on my life, I would say that I've always been entrepreneurial in general. I don't know if I've ever would have like described it as that. Like I was the kid that had a mowing business in high school, and I had a truck to pull the trailer for my mowing business. And then I said, well, I've got a truck now. Let's put a plow on it and let's plow snow in the winter time. And I'd be up all night, and then I'd go to school my senior year the next morning. So I've always had that kind of work ethic and kind of entrepreneurial drive. When I went to college, I don't think entrepreneurship was really on my mind. Honestly, I was very interested in public service, and I graduated during the recession, so there wasn't really any job opportunities. And then I went into sales, and eventually I ended up working in ministry, which, looking back at my ministry career and working in ministry for like 10 years, I think that I was relatively successful because I approached it from kind of the entrepreneurial mindset. I didn't really color inside the box. I did things a little bit different, not like irreverent or anything like that, but I did approach ministry in a way that I had a sales background, and I was trying to get more people to know and to love the Lord. And retrospectively, I would say yes. In the moment, wasn't necessarily part of the initial timeline.
Definitely. Yeah. How was the youth ministry time period of your life? You said it was 10 years.
Yeah, so I worked at a parish for 3 years, and then I worked at a diocese for about 6 or 7 years after that.
Gotcha. Dive into that a little bit. Like, I'm curious what some stories that came from that that were life-giving for you, or just like projects that you kind of initiated that really eventually you were able to see the fruit from. Was there anything like that during that time period?
Yeah, I mean, when I was working at a parish, I really built a youth ministry program from scratch. And I think that happens a lot of times when youth ministers seem to cycle quite frequently. But I kind of approached it from an organizational standpoint. Like I knew that as one person, I would not be able to, you know, do something big. But if I focus in on like, how do we take this parish and the adults in this parish and bring them together to help young people know and love the Lord. And that was kind of my goal. I tried to not focus so much on like individual one-on-one ministry as I did. How do I get volunteers in this parish, parishioners to do that? So I worked on that really, really hard. And I think one of my, looking back on the successes of it, I think that there are still people that I recruited to help out with our confirmation program that have been small group confirmation leaders every year since then. So
Wow.
they're still in it. They're still doing it. They still love it and look forward to it every year. And I think if you look at ministry from the perspective of, this is the thing that I need to get done. These are my expectations that I need from these volunteers. This is the timeline it's going to take. And this is what we want to look like in the end. And I'm asking for your commitment for this period of time.
Mm.
That's a whole lot easier to say yes than, hey, will you be the second grade religious education teacher?
Mm-hmm.
And what does that look like? How long you ask me to do it? You're going to make me do it next year. So I'd say that's one piece of it. And then when I got into diocesan work, I worked as, it was called like a program coordinator for a few years. And then I was the director of youth ministry for a year. And then what I realized is that I really loved being on the journey with people. I loved being able to walk and talk with people about their joys, their successes, what's been good, what's been hard for them, and really help them to develop a roadmap to what a successful future looks like in ministry. So so that was just a really incredible time for me to grow in my professionalism, but also end up really loving it. So
Definitely. How is that transferred? So like going from managing volunteers to you got, is it 20 employees now at Sacrilegious?
about 33, I think.
33. Wow. So how's that translated? Like the skills you learn, obviously like recruiting volunteers and doing all that in the church and then translating that to a business. What's that look like for you? Like where have you fallen short? Like, or where have you really found like you have a lot of strengths in that?
Yeah. Um, quite, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not a great manager. Um, and so what I'll say is that I've done a great job of recruiting people that believe in what we are doing, both on both sides of those equations. Um, I think the biggest thing that has helped me in both ministry and a professional career is knowing where my limitations are and finding people that have the gifts to fill those gaps better than I ever would have been able to. So that works in ministry and through the I don't want to say the real world, but and in a professional corporate setting as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, I think that sounds like a winning formula to me. So, um, take us into a little bit about how you got the word out about Sacrilege when you started. I'm sure like the conference was like a
Mm-hmm.
really good starting point. How did you grow the brand from there to the point where it is now, where it's like, I mean, I feel like a lot of Catholics know about Sacrilegious, like such a fun product. How did you get to that point?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of kind of like grassroots social media type efforts, going to conferences and trade shows, picking up the phone, cold calling wholesale shops, letting people know that we exist, and it's I promise they do sell, kind of situations. But yeah, so we went to the initial conference and we realized that we had a product that people love. Like when people
Mm-hmm.
encountered uh, the products that we were selling, they loved them. They laughed. You can see like people's faces light up. And when that happens, like actually selling the product becomes a lot easier when you have a good product to sell, right? So we did a lot of kind of ground level, getting in, Catholic, Facebook groups, being present in those areas, and then we started kind of dabbling in Facebook ads and Instagram ads and all that kind of good stuff. And I quickly realized that I knew enough to be dangerous, but I didn't know it well enough to be super competent in it. So we
Mhm.
pretty quickly engaged with a digital marketing agency that helps us to develop the ad copy, to sell the products in the digital space, and to be able to track and record that. They're able to do it much better than I was able to, and we kept on seeing a return on that investment, and still with the same agency today. So
Very
um,
cool.
yeah, so that was a big piece of it. And then I think the wholesale side of it, working with Catholic gift shops and bookstores around the country, we we had the opportunity to go with kind of the distributor model where somebody then sells our product. But I was very apprehensive about that because I wanted to protect the integrity of the brand. Once
Mhm.
kind of go the distributor model, it's much more difficult to um, to hold on to that integrity. So we really have gone um, as grassroots as you can. I mean, I spent a lot of time cold calling. We've hired salespeople since then, but uh, then we're going into an industry that has been relatively stagnant as far as like new and fresh products come. Like if you go into a Catholic gift shop
Mhm.
or bookstore, it's you see a lot of the same books, statues, rosaries, and decor and gifts that and the majority of them. So
Mhm.
convincing a shop owner that's some of them been around for hundreds of years to 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 bring in Catholic socks is there's an education piece that comes into that. But we also took on some risks too. We if somebody would tell us no, we'd say, well, what if you tried it and like risk
Mhm.
free, give it a shot, put it next to the register, let your customer know, and then pretty quickly they realize that, oh, this does sell. People do want it. We're looking for something new and fresh. So yeah, it's been good.
Definitely. Good. Very good. What's it been like growing a brand? I mean, like, I think brand is a really hard thing. And as you mentioned, like wanting to protect that brand and make sure that you're able to, in a sense, kind of control it, making sure that as it grows, you have a pulse on what it is that Sacrilegious is.
Mhm.
What's been the biggest challenge there in growing the brand, and what's been something that you've been pleasantly surprised by?
Yeah. Um, I would say that growing the brand, it wasn't terribly difficult because the Sacrilegious brand itself is really encompasses uh, our personality as who we are as an organization, and like myself personally and my wife. Like there's really dumb puns that you'll find like scattered throughout the majority of our product descriptions, and those St. Joseph socks that you're talking about that you love, like uh, they don't have a quotation, they have like empty quotation marks on the bottom because
Mm-hmm.
St. Joseph was never quoted in the Bible. So like it has our personality in the brand. So we were able to grow that a little more organically uh, than we thought we would be able to. And it's kind of proven more difficult when as we've kind of grown the company itself, we've moved into more of like an umbrella company where Catholic Concepts is the umbrella company of several brands that live underneath that. So we have a subtle home Catholic home goods company or brand called Our Holy Home, which doesn't have the same kind of personality as like the pun driven Sacrilegious. And that's been a little bit more difficult to grow because it's a little more unnatural for me and my team to develop that. I don't know if those two are like inherently connected or not, um, but yeah, that's part of it is just being who we are, and it manifested itself in who the company and the brand is itself.
Definitely. Very cool. What are some recent like nitty gritty like business decisions you've had to make that were maybe easy or tough, but just like, you know, as you're figuring out, business as a business operator, in a sense, just like there's a lot of day-to-day stuff that you probably don't want to do. What's been like something that you've had to decide on recently or work through, and how did you work through that challenge?
Yeah. We recently had to, uh, we're in like a 10,000 or 13,000 square foot facility, and we just moved into the 5,000 square feet next to us. And we, one of our other brands that I haven't talked about yet on this show is called Four Marks Printing, which is a custom promotional products and um, merchandise for we are schools and parishes. Basically,
Okay, very cool.
we are Catholic screen printers of the United States is what
Mm-hmm.
we hope to be. And part of that was, we have the talent, we have the expertise to do it, but let's use it to serve the church. But the other like practical side of that, on the other side, is the vast majority of our customers for Sacrilegious and our other brands are people like your mom who are buying Christmas gifts for their kids or family members or priests or pastor and things like that. So from a cash flow standpoint, more than 60% of our revenue will typically come from Black Friday to Christmas. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really, really difficult to manage year-round cash flow for a growing company when the vast majority of your revenue comes in a very short period of time. And then you're having to get really creative with things the rest of the year to make sure that it all works properly. So Four Marks Printing, which is the name of the custom printing shop that we own, is our effort to keep and retain quality talent and people in our organization so that we can operate year round. And then the fourth quarter becomes like where we put our energy for e-commerce distribution and things like that. So we had to make a really difficult decision of whether or not we basically had the opportunity to purchase a print shop in Atlanta that was heading in a different direction as far as all of their equipment and things like that goes. And it was one of those things where, we're looking at finances, what our year looks like. And then we had to basically make the decision of, are we going to double down on the screen printing side of our business to be what cash flows us the rest of the year? And the answer to that was yes. And then we made that kind of transition and purchased that equipment, and all things have been hunky dory since then. But
Very
that's the
cool.
most recent big decision that we had to make.
Yeah, no, that's good. I was kind of hoping you would dive into some of the other aspects of the company, so I appreciate that. I think that's good insight. How do you find yourself balancing um, your faith, your family in this business? What's been something you've had to navigate since starting the business with your wife
Yeah.
that wasn't a challenge before?
Yeah. So there's a period. So it was May of 2019 when I went full time into the business, and she was still working as a nurse. And so before that, we would both pack out orders in the night, and then we had our first kid, and then uh, I went full time in the business. We hired a couple of other people. And then she became a little more distant from the company at that time. And then in 2021 or 2021, I can't remember exactly, but then she came back into the business, quit nursing, and works at the business 2 days a week, and then is home with our kids the other 3 days of the week, which has been awesome. Many people will tell you that they could never work with their spouse, and there has to be like a firm division in that. uh, I and we have found that it is actually really beneficial for both our family, our professional life, and our home life, that we are both in this together, that we're able to work with each other. um, we can make decisions together. we I don't have to explain why I had a hard day at work or why something was difficult when I get home, because she already is in the thick of it with me. So it's been we've been able to really celebrate the joys and the struggles that have come with that together. Um, Again, that's great for us. I don't. It's probably not for everybody, but that's been a great joy for us to be able to build it as a family.
That's really good. Yeah, no, that's amazing. Um, I'll switch gears a little bit. A lot of the listeners are, in the grind of like social media content. So I'm curious. You might not be the person that is in charge of the
Mhm.
social media, but what are some things that you found have worked social media wise for the brand?
Um, I think one of the biggest things is um so we're not like a big content brand, right? So like the Blessed Is She of the worlds, and like Erica Teague from oh goodness, I'm blanking on the name of her company. Be a Heart. Like they're really good at developing content for those kind of their demographics and their and everything else. For our company, like the vast majority of the products that we um, make become the content that we produce. So like people come back to our website because we made a new sock. So like every month we've made a new
Mhm.
sock, and that's how we get people to kind of show back up. That doesn't always make for like super engaging social media content though. Like you can only ask somebody so many times, please buy our stuff, please buy our stuff, please buy our
Mhm.
stuff, right? So we've tried to get really creative in the world of like what are ways that we can really develop like a buzz about the thing that we're doing. So like during March Madness, we did Sock Madness, and we got I think 60 some people to sign up and like represent the sock of uh that they then kind of go through the bracket, and it's a voting system, and it's a whole ordeal, but it drives people to our Instagram account. We did instead of Oktoberfest, we did Socktoberfest, and we developed some like fun German themed socks and t-shirts and merchandise, and did a lot of fun things around the office. So again, it's like, how do you put your brand, your personality into the things that you're doing in you're producing? The worst thing that you can do is like force content that nobody wants to hear or listen to, or because somebody else is doing it. But the more that you can be
Mhm.
you, or to be your company, um, that's why people are showing up.
Definitely. No, I think that's really good advice.
But it's also been really hard to like we've kind of almost hit a plateau of, like on Soccer Religious. I think it's we sat at like 16,000 followers on Instagram for what felt like forever, and we kept on putting in the reps. We kept on putting in the work to try to grow that.
Mhm.
And I think we just got over 17,000 at NCYC when we were passing out free stickers to people that would follow us on Instagram. But um, but yeah, I think that it's becoming more and more hard to reach people. So developing content that people are coming back for, but also like don't underestimate paid ads, because if your product's good and it's in front of people, then people will buy it.
Definitely. Yeah. What's something that you're working on right now that you're allowed to talk about that you're excited about coming up soon? Whether it's a soccer or some initiative you're kind of working on right now.
Yeah, the next big thing that we're really excited about is called parishgear.com. Um, and essentially what that is, do you have any like Protestant friends, Mitch? Like,
Hmm.
yeah, so like
Definitely.
if you ever go to like a Protestant megachurch's website, like a shop button is always at the top of their navigation bar. Um, and that doesn't exist in the Catholic Church. So what we're trying to do is develop a way that any Catholic church in the United States can have their own online shop of
Hmm.
merchandise that they can share. Like, because like every weekend I go to the grocery store and I see somebody in a Emmanuel Christian Church shirt. Like I want them to, I want to go to the grocery store and see people in a St. Barnabas Catholic shirt t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want to see. And people will wear the things that the people wear on their shirts are things that they identify with. Like that's their personal billboard. And if we can equip parishioners to represent both their faith and their local parish community, I think that we can do a lot of good in the world in the church. So we developed parishyear.com, which is a basic website that we pretty easily can, at no cost to a parish, ramp up a online store where they don't have any cost in inventory. We develop custom logos for their parish that's unique to them, the year that it was founded, the location in the United States. And then all they have to do is share that with their parishioners, and we will send them a check for 15% of whatever is sold on their store. So it's like comes in also another revenue model for them. But it also allows them to have unique, good quality merchandise that their parish can wear.
Very cool. I love that. Yeah, no, that's such a good point, because you're right. Like I see that too when I go into town. Like other Protestant churches, they have like their branded gear and or like stickers on their car, like things like that. So I think that's a good insight. When's that all like coming out? Is that already available? Or are you going to be launching that soon?
Yeah, so this quarter is the first year that first couple of months that we've launched it. So we have a handful that are on the site now, but it's also our busiest time of year, so it's been a little harder to ramp it up this time. But yeah, it's live now. We're actively onboarding parishes.
Awesome. Very cool. What's a single piece of advice you would give to other Catholic entrepreneurs, whether they have like a business or not, or they just know they have something in them that they want to do something for the church, whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit, they have kind of entrepreneurial spirit and they're looking to get started with something. What's something you would tell them?
I think the biggest piece of advice that I have is like, take good calculated risks, but do it. Like in some capacity, do it. I think when I was kind of faced with the challenge of whether or not I go full time into this business or keep working in ministry, I left a job that I absolutely loved and adored doing. Like I didn't go to work for 10 years because I loved the work that I was doing. And but this opportunity kind of knocked on the door, and the other way was a much safer option for me. But what I also realized is that like I felt like I was being called to do this. I felt like there was something bigger that was a possibility in this. It could fail. Like that's a very possible risk. Now, was I going to put myself in a position where I'd have to foreclose on my house and be in a world of debt to my family? No, but I also knew that like if the stuff hit the fan, that I could probably go get a job at a factory and like support my family in a really good way. And I knew that there was always that option, but I wouldn't have known what was on the other side if I had said no. So just being open and receptive to that, and to being able to listen and respond when the Holy Spirit prompts you.
Definitely. Where can people find you? Where can people find Sacrilegious stuff? They want to keep in touch with you and honestly, all the projects you have going on, not just Sacrilegious.
Yeah. CatholicConcepts.com is kind of the landing page and the hub where you can find all of the things that we're working on and excited about. So I'd say there.
Definitely. Okay. Well, perfect. I'll be sure to leave that in the show notes as well. So those of you listening, all that information will be there. Scott, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. I know you're in your busy season too, so I really, really appreciate, just you taking the time to chat and learning from you. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This has been a joy.
Awesome. All right. God bless everyone. God bless Scott. Have a good Advent and a Merry Christmas.
Thanks. You too.